Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail.
Welcome back to the Sports Ranter. We are your hosts, Drew, Nick, and Ben. We want to welcome you here every Tuesday, 6 p.m. live, because we are your favorite fantasy football fooligans, here to help you humiliate your friends, family, and neighbors. But today is November 15th. Today is November 5th. Remember the 5th of November. I just want to encourage everybody, all our viewers out there, please take the time, go out there and get your vote in. Okay, go vote. Go fight, right? I think this is so close. This is not a political channel, but just to put it in there, I do believe the race is so close. It's so close. It's so close that California might actually flip red. So, anyways, with that said, we want to move forward with Week 9 of the NFL and fantasy football. The so many weird things are happening. The injuries, bye weeks are coming, but it's kind of midweek. It's the same every week, right, Drew? The waiver wire is kind of dry. There's nothing really there to help you. You have a tough situation, so it's kind of the same every week. You got to get lucky with your spot play, your stream play, whatever it is that you decided to do. You got to get lucky with that. Anyways. Start us off, Drew. We'll pull up our league settings as you get started here. But what's on your mind after Week 9?
I mean, it's in this league for Nick's league, it's tough, man. It's for me, it's been a brutal ride here the last couple of weeks. So it's just really just trying to plug and play some people. You know, you got some more injuries, you got some more for sure things where you look at the waiver wire and obviously Zach Moss is officially going to be out on IR. So you're trying to see if there's anybody that you can try to scavenge, to try to see if you can get some carries or this, that, and the other. Chase Brown's probably picked up in every league. So, I mean, if he's out there, I mean, obviously try and dump all your fat on that. But, no, it's a lot of those just – I think receivers is the main area where you can get lucky this time. You know, Jalen McMillan, if he's out there. For some reason, I keep seeing Jalen Warren out there a lot. It's tough, man. Like, there's really not a lot out there as far as who you can get, who you can stream. There's not a lot of bye weeks this week, so it's pretty dry. Ricky Pearsall coming back off the bye week, maybe something you want to dip into. Jalen Tolbert, maybe something you want to get into. Noah Brown's had a couple splashes here and there, but like other than that, it's just really tough. I mean, Dalton Schultz, if you want to look at tight ends, you know, there's nothing really that's gonna like just completely win you a week. You know, you still gotta come and try and trade if you need to. I've been throwing out a lot of trades here or there because there's a lot of these guys that are just continuing to underperform. And you can potentially people are frustrated on their rosters. They're losing. If you can try and go and snag like Marvin Harrison Jr., maybe a Malik Neighbors off of a couple of bad weeks, I'd say try and take advantage of it. You know what I mean? Or if you got somebody that's hot, say like for me, I have DeAndre Hopkins in the league. If you want to take a gamble and see, hey, like maybe that was just like a big game and you want to try to capitalize on it, you gotta shoot your shot. You know, like see if you can get something for it. You know, see if you can get some relevance for it. If you want to try and take advantage of George Pickens because he's been having a couple decent weeks with Russell Wilson, take your shot. You know what I mean? Like try and trade these guys for a player that you think is solid and it's going to have a solid rest of the season play. You know?
Yeah. Nick, your Bimageddon tip was one of our best watch shorts of all time. I think it's a huge tip. But other than trying to anticipate and looking forward for playoff matchups and whatnot, anything particularly this week that you can do, because it's getting close. If you've seen our standings, it's getting close. We're still in there. You know, we're all in this race, in this league, and we will all the way till the end. What's on your mind?
I mean, unfortunately, like Drew was saying, for this week, I mean, it's hard to do a week to week. Other than streaming, right? You know, obviously defenses and stuff like that. You try to get a defense that'll win you a week, stuff like that. what I've been listening to and researching at this point of the year, if you're middle of the pack or even winning, it's not a good pick if you're on the bottom, which kind of sucks. But you got to start handcuffing the running backs as the weeks go on here, and every week now, you're gonna get more and more injuries. People are getting more tired. They're getting in more shape, but now they're also getting more worn down. Um, so one is like if Blake Corum is out there, you want to just pick him up. Um, Same thing for, uh, you know, uh, Benson for the Cardinals. Um, James Conner's back up, stuff like that. You want to pick up these guys if someone had dropped them or whatever, because they have over 80% share, sometimes 70% of snap load. So the minute that number one receiver goes down, they're going to get a good share, and that could help you in the last couple weeks either make that playoff push or keep you on top if you're already winning. You don't want to be like, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, my team's stacked, and then boom, you're an injury or two away, and now you're like, all right, I'm screwed. I've been lucky so far ish in our league. I got most points, but I'm 5-4. It's not even nothing to like. I'm still got to win to get in, which kind of crazy. And I lost Chris Godwin. That's the big loss. I lost Jonathan Taylor for a while there, but yeah, I'm hoping to not lose any more running backs. But I think the running back position, as far as there's a website, I'll promote Fantasy Life. You can go on utilization, and you can look at player utilization. So you can see how many snaps the starter starts and all that. So that's something I do, so that if there's a backup you can pick up that'll get 70% of the, snap share once the starter gets hurt, I'd look into stuff like that.
It's amazing after you guys both shared that. I remember in our league, I know I'm number 2 in points, number 2 right now. I remember at the beginning of this season, I was looking at my wide receivers so confidently. They weren't flashy. It was just a solid core all the way down. Okay? And since week 8 or since week 3 with Devontae Adams, my whole thing has been shaken up quickly. Devontae Adams is a Jet. Stephon Diggs is gone. Olave in and out with concussions, and my guys that are in the bench are just not putting up the way that they should have, or they were in the beginning of the year. And so it's like I'm hanging in there, but I'm nervous every week. I'm nervous because it's just not putting up the way that it should. Thank God Devontae Adams got that touchdown last week. But it wasn't good enough to beat Almond Drugs, put up 170. And so. It really, really does mean something, man, especially in our league. You're winning with 170 in our league, 180. So if you're, on the average. So if you're not doing that, figure it out. It's crazy, right? And so.
And I will say, if you're in a league out there, we do have an extra flex, so we're a little deeper of a league, plus we're all experienced. So when we're giving advice for like our waiver wire pickups, it's tough looking at our waiver wires. But yeah, look at your percentage rostered and just, you might have guys out there like Andrew was saying that are available, where in our leagues they're just not. Ben just gotta hope and pray because there's not much out there to pick up.
Yeah, I know. I hope and pray that my guys keep on coming through that are putting up. But yeah, I have to. If I make a move, I have to hit. That's what sucks. I can't just be like, oh, let's see what happens. It's like, if I'm gonna make a move, I gotta hit. And it's so tough to do that. It's so tough to do that right now. But moving along forward, I feel like we need to talk about this. Jake's not here. We'll go more into it next week. But I'm gonna bring up the playoff picture for the NFL. If that's okay with you guys.
Yeah.
If you guys want to talk about it here, let me.
Of course. We're right at the halfway mark or just past it. We don't get it halfway anymore with 17 weeks, but
right. So I want to know what you guys think about, who really is the best team right now in the NFL. And I had a big conversation with people last night about the Chiefs being undefeated, 8-0. That was a good example of why they're 8-0. And I am going on and saying, well, when the rest of the league sucks and you only have like 3 or 5 good teams in a league of 32, I don't know how good that is to say that you're the best 8-0 team ever. But anyways, Drew, what do you think is going on with these Chiefs this year? Since you're the Niner
I mean,
fan.
the Chiefs look. I mean, they look real, man. I mean, their defense has been, like I said, when the Niners were going against the Chiefs earlier in the year, I continued to keep giving compliments to Steve Spagnuolo. Everybody talks about Mahomes and everybody talks about, and Andy Reid and this, that, and the other, but it's like, dude, that defense has been money. They don't allow many points and many yards and anything. So it's like Mahomes is really similar to like the Brady effect, where like especially right now, he has a lot of dink and dunk. DeAndre Hopkins now is he's been running that same route tree for a long time now. It's just a little, curl routes, slant routes. He doesn't really go deep too much anymore. Obviously we know Kelsey's, the third and whatever, champion. You just give him the ball. So it gives Mahomes, he doesn't have to take risks. Like that offense doesn't have to take risks. And honestly, dude, Kareem Hunt has been out of his mind. Like he's getting so much volume that you wouldn't think that he would get, but he's ripping off, 100-yard games all the time, and he's getting over 20 carries a game. Like it's something that I didn't think was going to happen in the slightest. And it's just surprising how the workload coming off the street and then boom, 20 plus carries a game, and he's just handling it. It helps when your offensive line holds every fucking play or gets a false start every time and they don't call it, but credit to him. You know what I mean? Like credit to him.
But where do we give the credit? Because that's what they're saying. No other team that loses all their receivers and is still undefeated, loses their top running back and still undefeated. So what do we give credit to? Is it the coach of Andy Reid? Is it Patrick Mahomes? Is it the combination of all three with the defense? Like, are they really the best team in the league right now? I don't know. I think I made this statement that they're the worst 8-0 team I've ever seen. What do you think?
Close. The 11-0 Steelers a couple years back were part of the worst 11-0 starting team I've ever seen. And they flaked out, I think, first game of the playoffs, like that we all knew. But they're just a solid 8-0 team. They don't feel like an 8-0 team. I'm not just saying this as a Raider fan. I've watched every single one of their games. They're squeaking out wins. It's different. Like an 8-0 team, you're expecting them to be dominant. You can kind of say they're dominant on the defensive side, but they're not that dominant in that you're scared of them. They're not the 2000 Ravens. They're not even the Niners of a few years ago. They're not the team where you're like, oh, they're just gonna sack you 15 times and Baker Mayfield under 2 minutes, 10 play drive, 70 yards down, tie the game. They should have went for 2, but that's a different conversation. On the eye test, I think the Lions are the best team right now playing. And I got to give credit to that O-line. And that's where if the Lions can finally get over the hump and the Niners don't come back to life here, and let's just say they're able to get to the Super Bowl, and assuming the Chiefs make it, they're going to win it with that O-line. That O-line is what's, they were one game away. Like, it is what it is, but I think they've been one of the best the last 2 years, to say season and a half now. They're the most balanced. And yeah, we'll see. I mean, I want the Chiefs to get that loss just because I don't want to hear the whole undefeated thing with Patrick Mahomes. But it just reminds me of Tom Brady and the whole Patriots thing. You asked who do we give credit to? The refs, everybody. That's how it was with the Patriots. No disrespect to Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and all them. Obviously they're great. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes is great too. But I just don't understand. Well, again, we could talk money or whatever, but in my mind, it's just like, if they're already that good, why do we need to assist them? Why do we need to keep helping them? Like, Tom Brady didn't get a holding call on his offensive line for like 12 straight years. Like, his offensive line, no matter who they put in there, never held. And same thing, Tom Brady had who at receiver, right? like you're talking about receivers, like they could just plug in anywhere because they got all day to throw. They never get penalties. They never get behind the sticks. They never, get nothing called on them. So therefore, it just makes their lives a little easier. But we'll see. We'll see how the year plays out. Hopefully, the Ravens and the Bills are two teams that I think are not scared of them, so to speak, and hopefully make something happen in the playoffs.
See, that's why I think some funny things are happening, Drew. Because has anybody ever, in the history of the NFL, Nick, this is crazy. Has anybody ever said that the Lions are the best team in the NFL? This is crazy.
No.
The tides are turning, and I love it. We were talking about the Lions being a darling team a few years ago with Dave Campbell and the success that they were having with Jared Goff, and what I like to see is them sustain it and winning in different atmospheres, different situations, different ways they're winning. But we got to discuss the rest of this field, Drew. What's the NFL looking like all around? I look at these top four, or the top, or 3, 4, 5, and 6 seed in each division, and I'm not too impressed with any of these teams. What's going on?
Well, let's pump the brakes because 49ers this slow start. They start slow. That guy named Christian McCaffrey is coming back this week, and he's. The crazy stat about this guy is Christian McCaffrey, 30% of his snaps, or 30% of the times he got the ball, was over 15 yards. That's absurd. Like, you bring somebody that dynamic that comes back into your lineup, like, in the red zone efficiency that we will have back with Christian McCaffrey is going to make huge difference. Like, it's going to be so much better. So that's one thing. But, I think there's some surprises out there, dude. I think the Commanders, dude, Jaden Daniels has looked – obviously he's going to be unless barring injury, he's going to be the offensive rookie of the year. Like, that's just pretty much hands down. But, the Commanders look good. I think the Eagles are still in the hunt. I think the Eagles, they're starting to get back. It was kind of scary AJ Brown thing, but he looks like he's just going to be day to day. But Jalen Hurts over the last couple of weeks looks like he's starting to dial it in. Some of these teams, just like from the NFC side of it all, it's kind of like those teams that you expect. You know what I mean? Like, you expect the Eagles to be there, you expect the Niners to be there, you expect the Lions to be there. But there are a few teams where you're kind of like, okay. Obviously, we know the Lions. The Lions are going to probably come out of the North. But the Vikings, like I said, I think they're going to fall off. I think, the Cardinals and the Rams, and I think all those teams are kind of like their defenses aren't good enough to keep them, like, for multiple games in a row. I don't see
Andrew, stay in the NFC. I'll do the AFC. Stay in the NFC, though. Niners are going to make it. There's 17 that make the playoffs. So you're saying all these teams are going to fall off. The Vikings got to make it, or maybe the Cardinals. Like, who are the 17s in your eye that's going to make it, right?
Well, I think, okay, so if we go...
So the Niners are in, who are they replacing?
Niners are probably going to take... I would assume they're going to take the Cardinals out. I think the Rams will stay in. I think those two teams out of the NFC West will go in. I think out of, like, the NFC North, I think it will probably be two teams as well. I'm assuming it's going to be the Lions.
The Rams are 4-4.
The Rams are going to... The Rams got a good team, bro. Like, they got a good offense. And if anything, I believe in the coach. I believe in Sean McVay. I rather trust Sean McVay and that offense than who is the guy over there, Gannon over there in Arizona. I just trust Sean McVay more. He has the more tenure. He has the better quarterback as well, I think, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I think it's gonna be it's gonna be the Lions, Packers out of the North, and in the East, I think you only get one team, and it's gonna be close, dude. I think it's gonna go down to probably one of the last division games. I think it's gonna be whenever the Commanders and the Eagles play each other. I think that's gonna be for the playoff berth, and who else can I think of right now?
Commanders,
what division
Eagles.
am I missing?
The South, Falcons is going to be in for sure, probably in that division. It'll be between Falcons and maybe the Bucks.
That division sucks. It could be Bucks.
It just sucks that they got hurt. The Bucks would have been in. The Bucks are a good squad.
The Bucks have gone to the playoffs multiple years in a row, but with Evans being hurt, Godwin being hurt, I can see them slipping a couple games and letting the Falcons get in it, and probably the Falcons are going to take over that division, I think.
Yeah,
So
I agree. The AFC is a lot simpler. I'll keep it short. We talked a lot of NFC, but go down to who's not in the hunt. I mean, really, the only team I see making the jump are the Bengals, and possibly, in Joe Flacco we trust, right? Like we'll see, if Flacco decides to throw for 400 yards a game. The Colts have a pretty decent squad all around. They're a good squad. They got a good defense. They got Jonathan Taylor. They can run the ball. They're not great at anything, but they're not bad at anything. They're just a good, solid squad. So if they win some of their close games, they can sneak in. I'm not a believer in Bo Nix and the Broncos, even though their defense is legit. Bo Nix is going to end up losing them some games. I just don't see there's just no way 3 teams come out of the AFC West. I just don't see that. And then this might be a little Raider bias, but we'll see what the Chargers do. They look okay. I trust Jim Harbaugh. That's the only thing. So he'll probably squeak in. But watching their games, I mean, they've looked decent against bad teams. But even the games they won, like they're squeaking out wins too. They don't look dominant in anything. They look very beatable. But again, when you look at, like I was telling Andrew, if I have to take the Chargers out, I don't see anybody else that's getting in. That's the problem. Like, well, the Jets gonna come all the way up, tie in it would be Bengals and Colts only, and that would be if they happen to, make that push. It would be Chargers Broncos because Bills, Steelers, Texans, Ravens, Chiefs are all getting it. Like the only one that could possibly fall off is the Steelers, but we know Mike Tomlin, so he's not going to. He's gonna have a winning record and he's gonna get in. So. There's only 2 teams that would flip flop, which is kind of crazy to say at the halfway mark. That we'll have to revisit this episode because I think it's pretty much mapped out. It's pretty clear. We'll see what ends up happening at the end of the year. We'll have to come back and be like, oh, we were way wrong, or yeah, we were right on.
I think the AFC is pretty much locked in. I think the NFC can get a little shaky.
Yeah, the NFC definitely has more flexibility. The AFC seems a little bit more locked in. You're right.
But I think it's an interesting take, looking at that who's in the bubble, who can get in. With the way teams are looking like this year, who's really going to get in? And it's hard to make that speculation with what you're watching. The Bears are the 8th seed. Are they going to get in? I don't think so.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's weird.
Yeah, I could just, because we've seen them before. If Joe Burrow and the Bengals get hot, they've gone hot before. We've seen it. They've won 7 of 8 or 6 of 7 the last, to get into the playoffs. We've seen it. We've seen them do it before, and Joe Burrow's got that confidence. So, of a team who's under 500 who could do it, I think the Bengals could.
Just so you know, Nick, I know he threw 5 touchdowns in the game versus the Raiders, but in the reporter asked, he goes, "What's there to be happy about?" He's pissed, to throw 5 touchdowns. I don't know. He's mad still. He's not happy.
Well, they're under 500 still, so he's keeping that Mamba mentality,
Right, which is perfect. Right, which is good. And so, anyways, I take my hat off to the Lions. Obviously they're the best team in the NFL. They're proving that the way that they're winning, the way that they're beating teams. I think you're correct about Steelers and Tomlin. They find a way in, and so it's just, I don't know. I think you're right, Nick. We have to revisit this because something's gonna happen. I don't know if the Chiefs or if that's even gonna be. I'm starting to really hate this. Like this whole 3-peat Chiefs team. Like it's like you expect it to be a little bit of a better team. Like the guys that are on that team to have that story. It's not the undefeated Patriots team that went 17-0. That was stacked, right, with those guys. It's just not the same. So I don't know. I don't know. We're just gonna have to pay attention, and we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see what's going on. So, but anyways,
can we talk how much of a dumpster fire the fucking Cowboys organization is? Like, Jerry Jones? What are you doing, bro? Like honestly, let somebody take over that position and ownership, and you just sit there and you just relax. Jonathan Mingo, the person that probably nobody's heard about other than maybe Ben because he's a Panther fan, went for a fourth round pick, the same value as DeAndre Hopkins. Like, what is happening, bro? And then the thing that blows my mind is Dak Prescott today said that he's going to be on IR. Why are you trying to acquire people when you know you're going to suck? Like, it just doesn't make sense, bro. Keep your fourth round pick. And then, and then they traded for Trey Lance a couple years ago, and Cooper Rush is going to be the fucking quarterback. And so it's like, what are you doing from a foundational standpoint? It just doesn't make sense to me, bro. It really doesn't. Like, and then it's just from other things that make sense. Like talking about the Lions, they got a lot better. I mean, obviously they lost Aiden Hutchinson, but then they acquired Darius Smith, who was probably the best edge rusher that was available. So that kind of just helps them even more and bolsters their roster a little bit more where they were lacking. So just shout out to the Lions as far as making good roster moves and improving their team to be, in my opinion, one of the top contenders in the NFL. So seeing if you guys have any comments or whatever about the trade deadline. Sure, Pops.
I want to comment about the NFL in general, and I want to put it like more globally and put it in perspective as far as like, stating the Cowboys are a dumpster fire. I think as fans, and it's fun, and we're ranters, and we love it, but the NFL is hard, dude. The NFL is hard, which is why it's frustrating when a team like the Chiefs gets favored. But other than that, the NFL is hard. Before the Chiefs won, it had been 50 years, guys. 50. Now we're like, oh, we're tired of the Chiefs winning, which I am as a Raider fan, but they didn't win nothing for 50 years, right? Like the Niners were, since the 90s until, they were dog shit for 15 years. The Raiders have been for 20 now. The Lions have never been to the Super Bowl. They're finally good for the first time. The Jets are waiting forever. Like it takes so many pieces to line it up and be, a good franchise. So, we can talk about how dumpster fire the Cowboys are, and so are the Browns, and so are the Jets, and so are the Raiders as of right now. So are, Panthers. So are the Saints. Right? You want to talk about Saints?
Wow.
And it's funny to me because the Saints, say 8 years ago, would be like, oh, that franchise is run great. Sean Payton, right? Like, you wouldn't talk shit about that franchise, right? Because Sean Payton was there, Drew Brees, they're winning every year, and you're just like, oh yeah, they know how to run stuff, they know how to da-da-da-da, right? But it's just, no, you just happen to have a good coach, happen to have a franchise quarterback, I don't know what's going on my camera, but, so it's tough to put it in perspective with fan bases, but, just to specify on how to run a franchise. We all have our, means and methods, but what the Cowboys did wrong was pay Dak Prescott. So that's my two cents on that. I say you pay him, but you don't have to pay him top dollar. So the thing that I hate that franchises do is they pay the position and they don't pay the player. That's where it gets thrown off for me, and that's where I think a lot of these franchises make mistakes. Is they're paying the position and they're not paying the player, and it ends up biting them in the butt later on.
I think the Dallas Cowboys highlight to me exactly what I've been saying for the past 15 years, ever since they started paying these players. Talking about paying players, ever since the NFLPA, and ever since these players are getting paid what they want, and it's obviously not about winning anymore, man. It's not about winning Super Bowls anymore. It's about having a solid business. For the longest time, we talk about, well, there's another side to it, the business end. There's no dodging that. I get that as a fan. There's a business side to it. But now you're starting to see that it's just all business. TV deals, ads. Like I said, Jake's not here. You're starting to see that the analytics, whatever it is, it's starting to happen. And I'm not so sure that we're enjoying the product that's being put on the field right now. For instance, the NFL, like you said, Nick. I don't know if the football I'm watching is I've seen so much better football in a different time with less rules. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. The Cowboys are a perfect example of they may not need to win anymore to sustain their $1 billion organization. You know, as far as Jerry Jones is concerned, what's it matter if he's winning or not? If he's making $1 billion again, more so next year. So maybe we can talk about this more. You know, I don't know if it's truly about winning anymore. So you say it's not easy, Nick, but why do the Chiefs make it look so freaking easy now? Like to win these games, it doesn't look like it's just we know it's gonna bounce in their favor. Like in the Super Bowl, the last second, 1 minute, like it is it that easy for it to just bounce in your favor that many years in a row?
When you're the what's it called, the face of the NFL, yeah, just like it was for Tom Brady, right? Like Tom Brady went to 10 Super Bowls. It's not supposed to be that easy. It's not. But when you just have a all-time head coach, all-time quarterback, and like I said, I'm not gonna say it was all this, but you get that extra little help from refs, right? It just makes it that much easier. We're seeing it. That offensive line, and this is pisses me off as a Raider fan and a football fan in general. That right tackle does that 20 to 25 times a game, and they maybe call it once, and we all see it. We all
It's
see it.
bad.
That's what is frustrating. How does the other coach and how does the NFL or somebody in the officiating, whoever's in charge of the officials, say, hey, keep your eye on that guy and call it on him 4 times if you have to, until he sits there until the ball's hiked. But they don't. So he gets away with it. And guess what? As we know, football, Ben, as a pass rusher yourself, myself as well, you get a millisecond stance out of your stance. It makes it twice as hard on me already as a defender. It doesn't matter how great of an athlete. It's all leverage, right? It's all leverage based. If you're able to take that half a step before I even get going, you already have such a dominant position over me. And yeah, I could still beat you eventually, but that extra second that Mahomes has is that extra second he throws the ball. So that's what makes it easier, I think, once again, when you have the coach and the quarterback right. Because then everything else is you're talking about the play of football. Everything else is not as crisp because they're not allowed to practice anymore. And then we can go. We talk about the agreement. They can't practice. There's no O-line like there were back in the game. All that stuff. So I don't want to get too into the weeds. But the football is not what it used to be. Therefore, if you have the coach and the quarterback right, you're set. You're set because everything else is kind of mediocre. But you have such an advantage at the two positions that matter most.
No, I think I mentioned it because it scares me. It scares me real quick, Drew. It scares me. I'll pass it to you. It scares me. It looks just like the fucking Patriots, man. Like I see Tom Brady. It's not Tom Brady, but the combination of Andy Reid and Mahomes. That's Tom Brady-ish, right? The defense. It's not Belichick, but Spangalo and the players that they have on that team. It's the same thing, and so it scares me. It's almost like not this again. I've already seen this. I've already seen this brand in the NFL for fucking 10, 20 years. Like, and as a Charter fan, Philip Rivers, blah, 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 it hurt, right? And so, anyways, I don't want to see this.
At least it didn't start with the tuck roll.
It didn't start. Drew, pass it to you. I don't want to see this brand of football anymore.
Well,
Or
I mean,
this,
they
whatever.
if we're talking about like quote unquote script and all this other bullshit with the NFL, right? I mean, they had exactly what they wanted last year, bro. I mean, you have the last pick in the NFL draft. You have Mr. Irrelevant going to the Super Bowl. You know, you have the Super Bowl run, this, that, and the other, and they fucking took an overtime. I mean, like, they shouldn't, bro. If they would have scored a touchdown there, which they should have scored a touchdown there. I mean, who knows? You know what I mean?
Still hurts.
Like, but when you talk about, having a script or there's not a better script that any underdog in America can look at and be like, dude, that guy is fucking badass. You know what I mean? Like, that guy takes his team from last pick of the draft to the Super Bowl and probably would have won MVP if he would have done it. But like, I mean, obviously Brock Purdy, he's not done. He's still going to be around for a while. But it's like, if there was a script that was there, that was it, bro. I mean, that was the one. Now it's like, I honestly, truly don't know. Like, the Chiefs are that good of a team right now. I don't know if there is somebody that can take them. I mean, if the Niners get back, I, I, I mean, it's our kryptonite, bro. Like, I don't know if we'll be able to get over the hump. And it's like,
The
who else?
Bucks just took them to overtime. They can be beat. They can be beat.
I don't
They're
know, bro.
beatable.
But
I
like
don't
I
know.
said, Ken, that like you said, Nick, you say it so right though, Nick. It's like they've already got the damn formula and template that we've seen in the early 2000s. Why do we need to help them? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, we don't need to help them. Help the other team. You know what I'm saying? Like, we guys talk about balance, right? There's a salary cap. We draft every year. It's in a way so that it's so even. But the Chiefs are at the top, and the same 15 teams are at the bottom. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I just don't, especially when it comes to the false start. Maybe the judgment plays, but I don't understand. We have an official up at top. Why we can't have an official up top? And just when a blatant foul happens, just call it, and we can make certain things. Obviously, pre-snap penalties, you can be reviewed. You know what I mean? Not reviewed, but like they could just make the call from up top. Like it's
I
not
don't.
that hard. Watch the film. Hey, he moved before the ball got snapped. False start. Like it's not that hard. It's like obvious. Like we have all this technology, and we're gonna. I don't want it on PIs. I don't want it on stuff like that. Judgment calls because you could slow mo and all that stuff. But blatant. Things that you can literally tangibly see. The face mask in the end zone. Guy gets his head ripped off. We can't just correct that. Like we can't just make it right. We all saw it. It's on national TV. Like why is that so hard to implement? Like I
Right.
said, I don't want like holding calls and stuff like that. Like it's those are more judgmental, and they're gonna always suck in general. But there's things that we can fix in the game that are obvious when it comes to penalties. Especially when we have a right tackle moving before every single snap. Like I don't
Um,
understand how that can be corrected.
I'm gonna end it on here. There's something about it, okay? Because they get caught too. They get caught with this. Panthers Saints, okay? It's 23-22, okay? And the Saints are going to go down to go try and get a field goal, right? So, sure enough, it's a first down play. They throw a flag against Josie Jewell, our linebacker, who touched nobody. The ball was nobody. The ball was nowhere around. He touched nobody. The guy threw the flag right at him, right? And so it really is the moment to help them get into field goal range to help them go win the game. Guys, I'm so silent. I'm watching everything. I'm watching them group up. They're talking about it, you guys. They are discussing it. It's like, what are you discussing? And they're over here, like doing this with their hips. And finally they go, there's no flag on the, you know what I mean? There's no penalty on the, but they were going to do it. They do it. They got caught doing it. In that game where they're going to help the Saints go win this game. Oh, my heart stopped, dude. But I was thinking of you guys. I was thinking of the Chiefs. I was thinking of what we're supposed to talk about today. They get caught sometimes doing whatever they're doing, feeding the script or feeding the Vegas line or making it more exciting or making my heart drop and jump. They're guilty of it. They sure as hell
That
are.
that was an easy explanation though, Ben. So all that happened was the owner of the Saints called and said, "Hey, I'm trying to fire my coach. Don't let him win." And then they're like, "All right, call it. Pick up the flag. We need the Panthers to win this
It could
game."
be that quick, but it follows with what you're saying. The technology is there. We could all be innerly immersively connected to the pylon with a camera, right? You can put somebody on the moon. You can tell me if it's a penalty or not, right? Like, come on, right? So, no, you're right. You're right, and I'm getting excited here, but it almost happened. It almost happened to the damn Panthers with our 2 wins this season. But with that said, you guys, I think that's it for today. That's it for our show this week. Unless there's anything else you guys want to say for fantasy football, what we can do after week 10. Like I said, it's dry in the waiver wire. Good luck, and so
Cam Ward to the Raiders watch. That's what I'm doing now.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow, here we go. Here we go. So, but like I said, we will be back, folks. I want to encourage you, if you haven't done so already, get out there and go vote, vote, vote,
Vote.
fight, fight, fight. All right. Until next time, guys. Next week, 6 p.m. Peace be the journey, and one
Peace.
love. Take it easy, guys.
See you, bud.